Welcome to today's video on international investing and why your passport can be your biggest financial hurdle. If you're a young, globally mobile investor, this is for you. We'll show you how to cut through cross-border complexity and build a simple, resilient plan. Let's get started. Here's the roadmap for the video. First, we'll explain why your tax domicile should dictate your strategy. Next, we'll cover regulatory roadblocks that often cause brokers to reject international clients. Then, we'll move to the winning approach: global simplicity using diversified, low-cost ETFs. After that, you'll get a practical action plan to start. Finally, we'll include quick quizzes to reinforce the key ideas. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, tax, or legal advice. Rules vary by country and can change. Before taking action, consult qualified professionals in your current jurisdiction. Let's frame the entire topic with 3 truths. First, tax domicile dictates strategy. The country where you are currently tax resident determines how your capital gains and dividends are treated. Second, regulation is real. KYC and AML rules influence which brokers will accept you, what documentation you need, and what the ongoing costs are. Third, global simplicity wins. Instead of chasing complex or exotic positions, globally diversified low-cost ETFs, ideally domiciled in stable, tax-efficient jurisdictions, tend to minimize friction and keep your plan durable. We'll expand each of these next. Tax domicile dictates strategy, not market timing. Your residency defines what tax forms you file, what rates apply, and when deadlines occur. You should prioritize setting up a compliant brokerage account in your current jurisdiction, even if the platform feels less sophisticated than alternatives abroad. If you move countries, reassess immediately. Tax treatment of dividends and capital gains can change with residency. When appropriate, consider fund structures known to simplify cross-border reporting, such as Ireland-domiciled UCITS, if they are available and suitable in your jurisdiction. Always verify with local professionals. Here is a simple decision flow. First, identify your current tax residency. Second, determine whether you have access to a compliant local broker. If yes, proceed to open or verify the account. If not, research brokers that explicitly serve clients from your residency. Next, confirm their KYC and AML processes, fees, and reporting support before depositing funds. Then, evaluate whether the ETF domicile is tax-friendly and compliant for you. If it is, set up automated contributions. If not, choose an alternative fund that meets your needs and legal requirements. Each year, make sure your tax filings and required forms are completed, and rebalance as needed. Regulation is a practical constraint. Many low-cost brokers exclude international or non-resident clients because KYC and AML obligations are expensive and complicated. If a platform seems ideal, confirm that it actually supports clients with your exact residency. Prepare for additional paperwork, such as identity verification, source of funds declarations, and tax self-certifications. Also, be aware that eligibility can change when you move, so plan ahead to avoid disruptions. Here's a comparison. U.S. domiciled ETFs sometimes offer very low expense ratios, but many EU and UK retail investors cannot access them due to PRIIP's regulations, and some non-US residents may encounter more complex tax filing requirements. Dividend withholding is typically handled at the source, with outcomes that depend on tax treaties. On the other hand, Ireland-domiciled UCITS funds are designed for cross-border distribution and may offer simpler reporting for many non-US residents. Withholding often occurs within the fund structure, and treaty effects still vary. The takeaway is to select the fund domicile that aligns with your residency regulations and reporting needs. This table illustrates typical frictions at the intersection of residency, taxation, and broker access. For EU residents, US domiciled ETFs may be restricted due to PRIIPs, and UCITS funds are often the accessible alternative with local reporting requirements. U.S. citizens abroad are subject to worldwide U.S. taxation and face PFIC rules for non-U.S. funds, requiring U.S. and often local filings along with FBAR and FATCA. Professional advice is strongly recommended. India residents must consider remittance limits and documentation under the liberalized remittance scheme and meet local reporting obligations. Withholding on U.S. dividends depends on treaties. UAE residents may face broker restrictions due to non-tax resident status and must provide self-certifications and verification documents. Withholding ultimately depends on the underlying market and treaties. Always verify the latest rules for your situation. The third truth is that simplicity wins. Diversify across world markets instead of concentrating in a few regions or themes. Keep costs low because fees compound against you over time. Automate contributions and rebalancing to maintain discipline. When possible and appropriate, choose stable fund domiciles that minimize reporting complexity. The pie chart shown is purely illustrative and should be adapted to your risk tolerance and local rules. Here's a practical 30-day action plan. Days 1 through 3. Confirm your tax residency and filing obligations. Days 4 through 7. Shortlist brokers that explicitly serve your residency and verify their KYC and AML processes, fees, statements, and tax form support. Days 8 through 12. Choose globally diversified, low-cost ETFs that are accessible in your jurisdiction, such as UCITS where appropriate. Days 13 through 17. Open or verify your account and prepare the necessary documents like identification, address proof, tax numbers, and source of funds. Days 18 through 22. Fund the account and set an automated monthly contribution. Days 23 through 30. Document your plan, define your rebalancing rules, and add annual tax deadlines to your calendar. Quiz time. Question: which factor should primarily dictate your cross-border investing strategy? Options are: market timing signals, your current tax domicile, exotic stock opportunities, or the coolest broker app design. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is your current tax domicile. Your residency determines tax treatment, forms, and often broker eligibility. Getting this right first helps prevent costly mistakes. Second quiz question: a low-cost broker looks perfect, but what should you do next before funding? Options are: fund immediately to lock in today's price, open multiple accounts everywhere, verify they legally serve your exact residency and support tax reporting, or skip KYC by using a VPN. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is to verify they legally serve your exact residency and support the tax reporting you need. Confirm eligibility, required documents, fees, and statements before depositing funds. Here's a compact reference you can screenshot. Start with residency, not returns. Choose compliant local brokers that support the paperwork you need. Use diversified, low-cost ETFs available in your market. Keep accurate records including statements, tax forms, and contribution logs. Do not delay investing simply because the paperwork feels difficult. Avoid chasing exotic investments across borders without understanding the tax implications. This sequence diagram depicts the typical onboarding process and compliance touchpoints. The investor submits an account application to the broker. The broker forwards identity verification to a KYC provider. The provider returns a pass or fail status. If documents are insufficient, the broker requests additional material. The investor resubmits, and the check repeats. Once identity and tax self-certification are complete, the broker instructs the custodian to set up the account. The custodian confirms setup, and the broker notifies the investor that the account is approved. This visual emphasizes why compliance steps can delay onboarding, and why providing complete documentation matters. Reviewing the key takeaways. Put domicile first. Your residency sets the rules. Regulation matters, and broker eligibility is not universal. Simplicity scales, and global, low-cost ETFs tend to reduce friction. Document everything, including forms, statements, and deadlines. Finally, start now. Inaction can be more costly than the paperwork. To wrap up, global mobility is exciting, but your tax domicile is decisive. Choose brokers that support your residency and required reporting. Favor diversified, low-cost ETFs in stable fund domiciles when appropriate. Automate contributions, maintain accurate records, and schedule annual reviews. As always, consult professionals for advice tailored to your circumstances. Thanks for watching. If this video helped, please like it, share it with someone investing across borders, and subscribe for more practical guides. In the comments, tell us your country of residency and your biggest cross-border investing question so we can cover it in a future video.